Rob, I think we have a special guest here with us today. Rob, do you want to introduce?
Yes, we do. We have today my cousin Chris Hogan. He played for New England Patriots and Super Bowl NFL teams, but got two champions with the New England Patriots. Cuz, thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, not a problem, buddy. Ugh, so pumped up for this. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I first met Rob, he comes up because I taught him how to run the studio back here. He comes up to me and he says, "Oh, you're a Patriots fan, I see." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "As a matter of fact," like he hit this on me, and I'm like, "Are you trying to get an easy A or something?" I'm like, I think he was trying to. He got an A without your help, but I think he
Sure.
was trying to use you to get an A.
That's all right.
All right, Rob, you want to take it away?
Sure. So to start off, like as I sent it to you before, we're just gonna go through like how you started like your younger years through Penn State, Monmouth, and up through NFL history.
Yeah.
So to start off, how long have you been playing sports for?
Gosh, I think I've been playing sports since I was about maybe 4 or 5 years old. I think my parents put a golf club in my hand for the first time, and um, been doing it ever since.
I've been to a lot of your games too, through the high school and up to some NFL games as well, and lacrosse and that. So, what different sports did you play growing up as a child?
I played everything. But my main sports, I played soccer when I was, younger, baseball, basketball, football. Once I got a little bit older, baseball, basketball, and football were my main ones. And then once I got to high school, I transitioned over to lacrosse. But growing up, I played, golf, and really anything that I could compete in was something that I just enjoyed doing. That's kind of what I hang my hat on, is just my competitiveness. And we could play a game of knockout, and it's going to get pretty serious with me. So the high school was really lacrosse and football, and and then I decided to go play lacrosse once I got to college.
So, what made you decide to make that transition to like high school lacrosse and just strictly lacrosse and football then?
Um, so I mean, baseball was really my main sport. Growing up, I played a lot of baseball, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, I hurt my shoulder, and I needed something to do in the springtime. I was pretty bored, and I knew lacrosse was something that could keep me in shape. My father played it, and he had an old stick in the garage that I kind of picked up one time and started messing around with it. I had a couple of friends that played um, the sport as well, so I kind of started just kind of tagging along with them, and kind of picked it up pretty fast, and really enjoyed. I mean, loved playing the sport, and it kind of quickly became something that was kind of opening a lot of doors for me, going into college, just as football was. And that was a difficult decision for me to make, but ultimately I decided to play lacrosse in college. I thought I had a great opportunity to go to a really good school, at Penn State, be a part of a program that was kind of up and coming, and kind of chose it just because of academics, and being able to go there and play right away was something that was important to me. And obviously the NFL was really not on my radar when I was 18 years old. So never regret decision. I loved Penn State in my time there. I met my wife there. So a lot of good memories there.
So I'm going to transition to ask the question, what was the big benefactor in going from lacrosse to football? Because, of course, I know clearly you would never take back your lacrosse days, but what was the big transition that, okay, now I'm just going to become like one of the most reliable receivers really quickly?
Um, so I had a year of eligibility left, coming out of college. I ended up redshirting my sophomore year because I had an injury, and I kind of had done everything that I wanted to do in the sport of lacrosse at the collegiate level. And, it was always it was a dream of mine always to play college football. And, that is kind of one of those things I just didn't want to regret, looking back on it, 10 years from now. And, so I had the idea of going to use that 5th year of eligibility and going to play football somewhere. And, I ended up playing at a smaller school, only an hour down the road from, where I grew up at Monmouth College. And then it just kind of went from there. Again, like the NFL was really not something that was, something that I was thinking about. At the time, it was more of, I have an opportunity to play college football at a very high level. It was still 1AA, great school and close to home. And, I got to kind of check that box. And then, from there it was, it was interesting. I had a couple of friends that wanted to go train for the combine. And, at the time, me being, 23, 24 years old, I used that as a delay to get a real job. And, I decided to go train with these guys and, really didn't have any idea of what was going to happen or how anything was going to transpire over, the course of, 6 months during my training. And, just kind of put everything into it. I trained every single day. I, trained, with the speed, strength, football, and just was hoping for an opportunity. And I was very fortunate to be given a chance to compete at a local pro day at Fordham, and, did very well there. And that was kind of like my first little, taste of, talking to NFL scouts, and, kind of went from there.
Well, to cheer you up a little bit, our general manager of this radio station went to Fordham too. So
Oh,
we got Fordham people here.
there we go.
Yep.
Fordham put me on the map.
Yeah. And going into the next portion here is when you obviously when you went there, you went and you trained and you got your chance. What was your mindset going in? Because of course you're going into a field with a bunch of people that had the NFL on their radar since they were 10, and that was their goal. What made you go, okay, now I'm just going to burn these corners. I'm going to show that I'm the one that can get open on 3rd down. Like, what made you go in from transition to it's not on my radar to I can make it here?
I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, to be honest with you, I've never doubted myself in anything that I've ever done. And, I prepared for that combine like nothing I've ever prepared for. I went into that day knowing that I was going to be able to run good times, that I was going to, I was going to be fast, that I was going to be able to, run good routes and catch the football, all things that I had really, done every single day for a lot of hours during the day, and really dedicated myself to, those different combine drills that we were going to do, and, running routes and even playing defense, because I really didn't know at the time if I was going to play, safety or receiver. And, I trust in my abilities. I always have. And it was something that I always fell back on, even when I, first got into the NFL. And, a lot of these guys were playing a lot more football than me at the collegiate level for a lot longer. But at the end of the day, I also knew that athletically, like, I can compete with anybody. And, I just needed to continue to work on, my specific craft, when I, started to play receiver at that level. And just needed the opportunities, and I was very fortunate throughout my career to be given, a lot of opportunities, and, early on with San Francisco, and then Miami, and then obviously, kind of started my career up in Buffalo. But, it really goes back on, my confidence and my ability to, play with these guys I fall back on my work ethic. I devoted every single second of every single day to trying to make it into the NFL. Never thought about playing in Canada. It was really NFL or nothing for me. And, I just, I worked tirelessly at it. and, just kind of prayed for an opportunity. And, I got a few of them, and I just knew I had to make the most of those when I got them.
So going back to like growing up for a sec, a couple more. Did you have any like special moments, like either playing for like Ramapo High School football or lacrosse?
Oh yeah, tons. I think for football, the moment that kind of sticks out for me is my sophomore year. We were playing a state championship game. I hadn't played really varsity all year round. And, there was one of the upperclassmen had gotten hurt, and I needed to step up, and ended up, being the player of the game. And we won the state championship at at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, I think we went to that game too.
And,
yeah,
so that was a great memory for me. And then lacrosse, my senior year, my lacrosse team won our school's first state championship. We beat a program that we've never beaten before. So there was a ton of really good memories, in my athletic career during high school.
Those are where a lot of mine that came up from you playing. That's where a lot of them came up for me too, because I'll never forget this. My father and I would take drives down on a Friday night to come and see you play at Ramapo High School for football, and sometimes we'd come up on a Saturday, the weekend games.
Yeah.
And then when Jeff, your brother Jeff, was there too, and he would play as quarterback.
Yep. Yeah, my brother threw me my last touchdown pass in high school. So there's a little fun fact for everyone there.
That's interesting. See, so when Rob went down there, you and your brother are like, well, Rob's coming, the family's here, we got a ball, right? That's the goal.
Rob was the key.
Rob was the key. Rob was the key. I think I'm gonna go down and just believe that all of the success was Rob. Yeah, so that every moment that I watched you since I watched you since Buffalo, every time now I'm gonna rewatch and just go, wait, that was Rob. It wasn't for Rob. So back in 2016, that was no. It was just because Rob.
All Rob.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go on your work ethic and go back to, you went to the two teams that you started your career on that were like successful. Of course, you started in Miami and you went to you started Niners, then Giants, in Miami, but you really got it going in Buffalo and then of course New England. You go to two teams, no matter how much as a Patriots fan I can't like Buffalo, but of course I know these two teams are made for a person like you, which is someone that just, you work every single day. They seem like two teams that they want the hard workers more than, like, hardworking is like their key. How was it as fits to those two teams?
I think, in Buffalo, I was always kind of a bubble guy. I was, every single year that I was there, it was kind of, am I going to make the cut, at the end of training camp? And, for me, that was really what I did my whole career. No matter, even when I got to the Patriots, the thing that drove me was knowing that the NFL career could be over in the snap of, a finger. Nothing's guaranteed in that league. And, so I used that as motivation. It wasn't really a scare tactic in myself. It was really just as motivation that I, every single day I had to come to work, and there were no bad days for me. I couldn't come to practice and, didn't want to be there or didn't know my assignments. And, for me, I put a lot of effort into studying the playbook and, always being around, always being available, showing up to meetings early, kind of, contributing in meetings, and trying to just be that guy that, can be reliable, that was available, reliable, wanted to be there, put out, high effort every single day. And, that stuck in Buffalo in my first year. And I was able to, contribute on special teams and a little bit of receiver. And every single year I kind of crept up the depth chart a little bit, and then, started playing more and more receiver, but, still, contributing on all, on all the phases of special teams. And, I think it's, the league is so much about just opportunity and, what you're able to do when you get a chance on the field. And for me, it's just every single time I had an opportunity to play on Sundays, that was all, it was everything that I had worked for the years past, everything that I had put into it that year. And, I just had to continue to show and to prove to, my coaches, the, general managers, the owners, that I belong there. I knew I belonged there. That was never an issue for me, but, you have to be able to, perform. And that stuck in Buffalo. I feel like every single year they're always trying to replace me, but, they couldn't, because I just went out there and played really well, and always took, made the most of every opportunity that I got, and made plays when I got out on the field. And I think that kind of quickly, transitioned over to New England, where, guys that are, not, these highly touted, overall draft picks, but guys that are smart, that can learn an offense, that can play multiple positions, that are, always available, that work hard and do what's ever asked of them. And, that's really was, what I did for my whole career, and, really fit very nicely when I went over to New England.
Yeah. Well, well, we've been to like onto the New England side, because we've been to like, I think 3 of your Buffalo games when you played with Buffalo. 2, I think, were at MetLife, and 1 was up at the Orchard Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we came down to up to see you in New England, I'll never forget this. It was Brady's first game back after the whole situation. So we came and
We don't talk about
saw you,
it.
and we were able to go on the field with you after the game, which was incredible. That was
Yeah.
amazing. And then you took us out through the back, and I'll never forget this. I think, Ben, I even think I told you this.
Yeah.
before.
This made me go, what?
And we're walking out the door. I'm not sure if you remember this, but Gronk is standing up against, like, his back's up against the wall. And my mom just turns around and she goes, "Oh my God, it's Gronkowski." And myself, you, and my father all just look at each other like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
God, you're kidding me.
It was always fun bringing people kind of after games in through the hallway, because you never knew who you were going to run into. So some of them got a little starstruck over those guys.
Yeah. And then later that season, this was big because we got to go to see you play that championship against Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But the kicker for me was that in order to get into that championship, you had to beat my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, which in my mind was an incredible game.
Still unfortunate that you're a Steelers fan, but
yes, it is.
You were the receiver on the flea flicker play, right?
Yes,
that was like one of the most crazy plays I've ever seen. And because like when you watch the Patriots, you're like, on offense, you're just like, let Brady just methodically drive down the field and score real quick. And then it's just like, oh, flea flicker. I'm like, ooh, some razzle dazzle. And I think that was you there.
We always had a few of those in the game plan. Never, we never used them every time, but when the time called for them, they usually worked.
Is Gronk, like, because you said the story about Gronk, is Gronk that kooky and ridiculous just normally?
Just never had a bad day, always smiling, loves to be around the guys, loves to be in the locker room. I mean, hell of a football player. But he's a guy that's fun to be around. He's a goofy big kid, but when it comes down to playing games and working hard, he works just as hard as everyone.
Yeah, and going into, of course, back to that working hard mentality. When you got to New England, or even in Buffalo, actually, I'm going to go into New England. You got to meet, of course, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady, and all of them. And we all know that they work hard and all of that. Is it that you were all just a bunch of guys that just all you guys cared about was working as hard and winning? Or was it the culture? Like, what made you guys all work so well for, I think, 3 to 4 years? You guys were just all in sync and it was all working well and you all had the same goal in mind. Was it just like was it the culture there, or was it just something that you guys all worked together for?
I think it's a combination. Bill Coach Belichick, obviously created this winning culture there, over the years that he had been there. He brought guys into that locker room that were, not, high ego guys, but guys that just wanted to work hard, that wanted to win, that were unselfish. And, I think, those years that I was there, I think, that locker room is something that I'll never forget, really, just up and down the line. Every single person in there was just, there was a common goal. And, as, crappy some of the practices could have been, or, when we're out there in December and January and it's snowing and, negative degrees and we're still outside because we never practiced indoors, we would complain to each other, but at the end of the day, we knew, why we were out there. And that was to play in February, and that was to play, in the playoffs, and to go to, that big game. And, every single one of those guys, day in and day out, put in the work, and there was never any second guessing anyone, because, accountability was a big thing that, everyone that we talked about, throughout those years. And, a lot of teams talk about it, and a lot of them do hold each other accountable. But I think, that locker room, that team, that coaching staff, all the players kind of held each other to a little bit of a higher standard, knowing that, we had great players, that we had a, great coaching staff that, worked very hard to, provide us with great game plans. And, we just had to go out there and execute, and everyone kind of playing down to a man. We would just play for one another. And obviously with 12 as your quarterback, you definitely don't want to disappoint him. So you put in a little bit extra effort there too, to make sure you're, making those plays for, a guy like him.
Yeah. Going off of that, I found this very funny. Well, we came out to see you guys play when you did the Atlanta
Championship.
Your agent at the time, my father, myself, and your friend Richie was sitting to my right.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, either my father or somebody leans over to me and they're like, "You do realize that they're not going to win this, right?" And I sat there and I'm like, "Do you not realize who's sitting behind number 12 right there? He can figure this out and you guys will get this done." And
Yep.
all of a sudden, with I think it was 3 minutes left in the quarter, it just snapped and everything just had at it.
Yeah.
Did you think that it was over? There's no way you guys were all just like, yeah, we got them right where we want them. I don't think, no way.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I would never say that we were ever out of a game. I think there was a part of all of us that, knew that we had played the worst half of football that we had played all year. And I don't think that, we wanted to kind of go out in the second half and just not embarrass ourselves in front of, millions of people and get blown out. And, there was no rah-rah speech at halftime. There was no pointing fingers. It was at the end, we knew what had happened. We had played bad ball, up at, for all three phases. It was not good. We made mistakes, and it wasn't really, what we had done all year round. And I think, everyone in that locker room kind of just looked at each other and said that, we just had to go out there and do what we had been doing all year, execute, do your job, and, obviously not try to be a hero, because it was a long second half. And, and we just started to, chop away at that lead. And, one thing led to another. And, they obviously had, a couple of mistakes that we took advantage of. And, once we got that thing within, I guess it was 2 scores, and we got the ball back. And, that at that point I was like, I think we might actually have a chance here to make a comeback. And, you get kind of momentum in a game like that. And, you just have to be able to ride that wave for as long as you can. And, we were able to do that all the way through that overtime win. And I mean, to win a game like that in that fashion, it was pretty incredible.
It was all Rob. It was all Rob.
It was all Rob.
It was all Rob. It was all Rob. It was all Rob. We'll go. Well, if just make sure you text Brady and be like, you're so lucky my cousin came in clutch for us.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's gonna be my new thing. Whenever I do something, I'm like, it's because of Rob.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. And going into after that season, of course we had the disappointing end to the next season, which unfortunately happened to be your best one, your best game, which I think you're just like, oh man, like, come on. And then you went right back the next year and got it against Los Angeles. And throughout all of those years, did you ever have that moment where you're just like, this is unreal how every day such an expectation? Was it ever like a lot for you, or was it just come into work and do it every single day, or was it like, I have to win every single week kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, in a place like that, the expectations are very high, and those, it's not just go out and have a winning season. That's not the expectation in New England. The expectation is to go out and win a championship every single year. And I think there are guys that can handle it, and then there are guys that takes a toll on you mentally, physically, emotionally. And for me, I was, there definitely were days where it was like, tired, not, didn't feel great. But you just, this is the type of league that you have to be able to push through that and just get yourself ready to play on Sundays. And I was able to do that year in and year out for a very long time. And I think the level of expectation up in New England is exactly what it should be. And I think that's what teams aspire to be like, and to have that expectation every single year that it's not just about having a winning season or competing, but it's about winning championships. I think every team across the league is trying to create that culture, and I think that you see it kind of now. I mean, I think a lot of these teams are doing that, and want to be able to get back to where they were the previous year, and if not better, and continue to win games and bring in guys that can help them do that. And for me, I just never, I can never take a day for granted. Being able to play with those guys, and just being able to play in the NFL. I knew how quickly that could be kind of taken away from you, whether it was from injury or, if you weren't playing well, maybe they would have moved on. So kind of use that all as motivation, and, just enjoyed, the moments that I had, throughout my career.
So going back to like your family and Ash and stuff for a sec, how was it? Because I know you had to travel a lot. So how was it leaving like your family, like the kids and Ashley, a lot to travel to go work? And
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. My beginning of my career, my Ashley and I, didn't have any kids, and we were both kind of aspiring to live out our dreams. My wife is now a doctor, and she was in residency and medical school when I first started playing. And and then life kind of goes on. We started having kids, and the life really didn't slow down for us. It really just kind of sped up that much more. We didn't live together during the season, so I would, wherever I was in the league, I would live there for 6 months out of the year. They would travel to see me, I would travel to see them on the off days. And it definitely becomes a little bit more challenging once you start having kids, just because you, as a dad and a husband, you want to be home and you want to be with them. And when my twins were first born, we joked around about it that I was a virtual dad. They they knew me and saw me via FaceTime. And I obviously got home as much as I could, and my wife was driving up 95 to Boston every single weekend that we had home games or time off. And it had its challenges. And but I was able to play long enough. And a goal of mine once I started having kids was to be in training camp, to have your kids kind of run out on the field with you. And that was a very special moment for me, when my twins were old enough to kind of walk out on the field and kind of do that. I always thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I was able to, my my middle one, she'll never remember being at one of my games, but she was there, got her on the sidelines, got pictures with her. And my fourth was born during the season again. And all those memories and everything that I had with my family, obviously I couldn't do without a great support group and a wife, that I've kind of put through a lot over the years. And but it's nice to be home now and being able to not be a virtual dad, and now I get to kind of do the real thing every single day.
That was going to lead to my next question. How does it feel finally being able to, because of course you retired in the middle of last season. Is it one of those moments that you were with your kids and you're just like, this was totally worth it. This was the reason I made this decision, that being a virtual, like, it's time for me to settle down. Father time,
Yeah.
that's called.
It's it was inevitable, right? That, there's an expiration date on in this game. And, I think I had played for as long as I could play. And if you ask me, off air, I'd probably tell you I could still play, but, it wasn't about
I
that.
woun't argue.
It wasn't about, it wasn't about playing for me anymore. I wanted to be around my kids, and, I wanted to be home for my wife. She's got her own practice that she's starting, and, she's kind of, I was at the end of my career and she's kind of beginning her career. And, it was, the decision for me was really about just being home and being able to, contribute to my family, to be there as a dad, to be there as a husband. And, haven't regretted it since the day that I hung up my cleats. And I've enjoyed being home, every single day, being able to kind of take part in the controlled chaos in my house of, having 4 kids and, taking them to school when I can, or picking them up, or, doing all these different things. And now, I get to watch them grow up now, and watch my wife grow in her practice and her career. And, they've done and traveled, and, they've sacrificed a lot for me over my career. And, I think now it's time for me to do the same.
I'm enough to make a grown man cry. Unbelievable. I'm like, I don't know where to go. Like, that was too good. But
so growing up, you were like, you, your brother, and your sister were like huge inspirations for myself that pushed me to do like all this stuff that I've done. So what would you say, who or what was a big inspiration for you?
Rob, obvious. No.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, I had a lot of people that, for me, when I got to the league, I always leaned on the older guys. I always asked them questions. I always asked them about like their process and how they kept their, bodies in shape, and what they did in the off season, what they ate, how they were able to last in the league so long. And, growing up, I didn't really have like, my dad always pushed me to, and by no means were they ever like pushing me to do sports. Sports was something that I always wanted to do, and working hard and that work ethic that I created was something that I wanted to do. That I enjoyed that process. I enjoyed, learning a new sport in lacrosse, and enjoyed the challenges that I had to face with that. And I enjoyed, trying to play in the NFL after playing 4 years of lacrosse and only playing a year of football, and everyone looking at me cross-eyed, like, what was I really thinking? And how was I even going to be able to accomplish this? Like, those are the things that, I loved, that motivated me. And, the people that I looked up to were the people that believed in me. So my family, never second guessed me. My closest friends never second guessed me. My wife, believed in me, from day one. And, those are the people that, I always would fall back on, when things were tough, or, after I got cut 4 different times. I could have easily just said that was enough for me, and I tried, and, move on. But like, not one of those people ever told me to do that. They always tell me to keep going. So I use them as motivation, as well as, my own, self, and wanting to prove to myself that I could do it, prove to everyone else that, didn't believe in me that I could do it. And for those that did believe in me, wanted to do it for them. So, the people that I've always had around me were, my biggest inspirations.
If you could, because of course Rob here is an aspiring media analyst at some point, and of course I am as well. And to anybody that's trying to do anything, whether it's sports or anything, and they're nervous for how difficult it is, because you were college a college lacrosse player that would soon go to the NFL. What would you give to an advice for a person that's trying to make it?
I mean, I think you have to be able to, first of all, the biggest thing is believing in yourself. Believing in your abilities, believing in your work ethic, believing in your dream, your passion, whatever that is. And then you got to be able to set goals, and you got to be able to understand, like, realistically, there are going to be some bad days. There are going to be some good days. And it's just how you deal with the adversity on those bad days. It's how you kind of handle yourself and conduct your business and, whatever you're trying to do in life. And, for me, my bad days were, getting cut from a football team, something that I've never been cut from anything in my life. And, that was an eye opener for me. And that was something that, that was a bad day for me. But at the end of the day, like, I still believed in myself. I still believed in, what I wanted to do, my dream. I was extremely passionate, and, I had goals, and, I wanted to reach those goals. And, I would not let anything stop me from reaching them. And I think the thing that I tell a lot of guys, younger guys that are trying to come up in the league and, make it the way that I did, I think it's also about surrounding yourself with good people. That circle of people that are going to kind of push you to, to be better, to continue to work hard, continue to set goals for yourself, to kind of push you to pursue, whatever you're trying to pursue in life. And, if you're not able to surround yourself with those type of people, it makes things very hard. For if there's somebody, in that circle that just, doesn't really believe in what you're doing, and maybe it's a little negative. So, surrounding yourself with positive people and, good energy is such an important part of, I think, reaching those goals in life. And, falling back on what you do, and your dream, your passions, and, just working at it every single day and trying to get better at whatever you're doing every single day. It doesn't have to be, huge leaps of, getting better. You get better. We always used to say, when you're injured, in the game, like, you just try to get 1% better every single day, and before you know it, you're 50, 60, 70, and you're back on the field. And, you're not going to be able to overcome things overnight. Some, good things take time, but like, good things also come to those who just continue to work as hard as you can to get to where you want to be. So that would be my little tidbit there.
Well, that's going into our we have quote book of audio stuff, and that's going in. That's just like motivational stuff. Do you have anything else, Rob?
The last one was there anything that, like, you would watch or do to get yourself ready for games, whether it be high school or NFL?
Oh,
this is a sit-up question. He's got to think about this.
Setup question. Because he knows the answer. He just wants to hear me say it.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
So when I got to, let me start with the NFL. I never used to, in the NFL, I used to watch film.
Yeah.
I used to watch film because, for me, the more that I was prepared, the more comfortable I was playing in those games. I'd watch film, I'd go over my playbook, I'd go over the game plan. And, that for me was very important, because if I was able to go out there, not second guess anything that I was doing, I was going to be able to play fast. And, that's what's playing on Sundays is all about: playing fast, playing physical, and being able to really not second guess yourself at all. Growing up, when I was playing football in high school, I had a little CD play, DVD player that I had. I used to watch the movie Rudy before every single football game. And yes, I can absolutely quote that movie from start to finish, still can. Um, and that it was, the movie is just, for me, it was just kind of like my story of trying to prove people wrong, to, you know, set your goals, set your dreams so high that, so many people think are just unattainable, but, you just continue to work hard, believe in yourself. And, Rudy only got, a chance to play one play, but, and I got to play 10 years in the NFL, but that's, kind of how, that movie just rang so true. Even when I was younger, it was such a, inspiring movie for me, and kind of probably was the reason why I worked so darn hard, was just to, be that guy, that was never, I don't post my workouts. I'm not very vocal about like, hey, I did this extra, I did that extra. Like, I just wanted to do it. And I worked when the hours that I did, off the field and practicing and extra practicing and extra sprints and extra everything, extra film work. Those are the things that people just don't see, and don't, I guess, completely understand the amount of work that goes into trying to get to the level that I was at. But that's what I enjoyed doing. And Rudy he was the root. He was the root of my success, I guess.
I thought this was about to be, I'm not gonna lie, Chris. I thought you were about to tell me that you listened to like Britney Spears before you, but on count of
Oh, no.
like I listened to Oops, I Did It Again before for you. Every touchdown he'd just go, Oops, I did it again. See, that was a lot better than I was thinking. I thought it was way different. And my last question for you, Chris. Do you have any more? Or I have one more question for you, and you don't have to answer, but I would love to. So New England now has Mac Jones, and they have this new Patriots offense, and Buffalo has who is like a top 3 quarterback on a bad day, Josh Allen. And you could be on one of those offenses right now. Where do you want to go? Do you want to play with Mac or play with Josh?
To be honest with you, both of those kids are like, I enjoyed watching both of them this year. I think Mac really took a lot of big strides this year, and he was able to kind of handle that pressure of, being a quarterback in New England, and kind of following in those footsteps, pretty big footsteps to follow in. And, I thought he played so well. And, Josh, is just a very electric quarterback to play for, man. I mean, guy can, make all the throws, and, so can Mac. They're both very unique in the way that they play. And to be honest with you, if you were to play for either one of them, you're going to be doing pretty well with those two guys at the quarterback position. And they're going to be good for a very long time. It's going to be fun to kind of continue to watch those guys kind of battle it out in the AFC East over the next years, or however long they play.
I forgot he was trained in the Bill Belichick school of answering questions. I forgot.
Never leaves me. Never leaves me.
I was probably light work for him. It's like too easy. So this is what it feels like to be a media person talking to a Patriot. Oh my goodness! Like, you can't get
anything.
that was one of the things that I was like, whoa, I'm getting media right now.
Yeah.
I've
been trained.
He's like, been there, you're light work. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, Chris. And first of all, personally, and of course Rob could probably say thank you for the memories, especially because you were the last time I absolutely sobbed in 2016. I was I did not know how to react to that as a 15-year-old kid. I was like, what's going on? And I was like, whoa. And again, thank you so much for all the memories. And I always will miss you, Amendola and Edelman, being so reliable and always so fun, and watching you three. And I thank you so much for all the memories.
Of course.
And of course, thank you for you know, being related to Rob, because I get to be not on your end. I like to work with Rob. Thank your guys' grandparent for giving me a co-host.
There you go.
I got a co-host I get you 1 week, I get him every week. So I gotta look at the time I get with Rob. I'm like, I gotta thank you guys' grandparent for giving me Rob. But thank you so much for coming on the show. And of course I have to, because this is Hattie Right. This is a country show. Is there any country music that you do listen to, any form at all?
I love country music.
What, Rob? You told me he doesn't.
I wasn't sure.
I do. I love country music. I mean, you know, I played, you know, John Party was my wedding song. He played, we did Head Over Boots for You. That was my wedding song. I mean, you know, Zach Brown Band, you know, Luke Bryan, you know, Garth. I mean, I love country. Is like, that's my driving music. That's the stuff that I love to listen to. And you know, it's obviously during the summer, it's nonstop country. So
you got to. You
have to. I
love country.
I don't know how that happened. Before we head out, I just want to thank you so much for giving us the time to be able to do this, because this is
of course, brother. Thank you for having me on. This was great.
Yeah. Well, if you can come back anytime you want, but I know you're busy. You have 4 kids. You got an army to work with. So,
yeah.
So awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great Monday, and keep doing what you're doing. You inspire so many people.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a good one as well. All right.
Take it easy, buddy.
Take it easy.
All right.